Hello everyone. Today's webinar, I'm going to kind of pick up where we left off on entering a lead into Salesforce, and we're going to talk about converting that lead into an account and how to kind of work that account and split it up by that. So I'm logged in again as Sean here, so I'm looking at it from a sales point of view. So I'm logged in, I see my home page. I'm going to go ahead and pull up said lead again, and we're going to actually go ahead and convert him to an account. So I used Michael Jordan, so I can type in Michael Jordan up top in the search, so I can hit search, and you can see here that I have one lead named Mr. Michael Jordan. I usually like to click on the account name as a household and work that kind of as a hub for everything. As you'll notice, once you click on the household, it kind of pulls everything underneath it. So like I said, it kind of works like a hub where you go in there, you can kind of see all the different information under there. So you can still see that Michael Jordan is set up still as a lead because it falls under the lead section. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Jordan household here. And if you remember from my last video, I'm going to go ahead and close this to give us a little more room here. Michael Jordan is actually the son. We set him up as a warm lead. We've got all his contact information. He's interested in independent living for his mother at Story Point of Grove City. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. I can see at the bottom here on his lead page, we've got an activity history that I put in of when Michael actually called. So I put in all the notes on that. And we'll go ahead and scroll back up. We have nothing open activity right now. We're going to go ahead and add some stuff here on today's webinar. But the first thing I want to show you is kind of how to convert someone from a lead to an account. So the way the steps go is initially you're going to first put someone in as a lead. That kind of works as you entering into the system. So the first time you hear of someone, of a prospect, of someone's adult child, the spouse, anything, as soon as you hear of someone, a prospective resident who wants to move into the property, you would put them in as a lead, and we went over that in the last video. Once you decide, though, and you're working that contact, you can see here I've got this lead status set to working contacted. Once you decide that that lead falls under our demographics of the type of lead we're interested in to convert in an account, it's someone who is eligible for our community financially, they're ready to go, they kind of shown interest in actually moving in. Once that happens, you'll want to convert them into an actual account. Once they're an account, you have more information. You can kind of put in where they're at in the funnel of the opportunities. You can add more contacts, so an emergency contacts, spouses, all that good info on the account page. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And one way to see, obviously, that they're not converted into an account yet is that the convert button is still available for you. So what that convert button does is it asks and has the system of Salesforce convert them from a lead into an actual working account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Convert here, and that will convert them from a lead into an account. So let's go ahead and click on Convert. So what happens is it'll say, let's convert this lead, right? So it's going to take away the history of the lead. It's going to bring back everything from when they were a lead, so all the information. You don't have to type in again or anything, but basically it's going to create it into an account from a lead. So it's going to say that this lead is no longer just a lead. They're actually a working account that we have in the system. So you can see here the record owner we're going to leave as Sean. If you need to change this and you're putting in a lead for someone else, for instance, if you're helping out in another community, you can do so. You can start typing in their name, hit the little search thing in here, the little magnifying glass, find it, and assign it. So if I wanted to, I could do that. And then what you can do is you can send an email to that owner notifying them that you put in a lead form. The account name here, you can see that it says create new account. We're going to call it the Jordan household, and we'll kind of go with that since that's what we had put in initially with the lead. You can change that if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it as that. To change that, you can kind of do a little search here and assign it to a different existing account, or call it something else basically. But we're going to leave it as Jordan account. We could have changed it on the lead if we wanted to, but I'm fine with allowing it to still be called the Jordan household. The opportunity name, it's going to automatically create an opportunity as well once you convert from a lead to an account. What the opportunity entails, you'll see in another video, is basically it's going to show where they're at in the funnel process. So once you click in and kind of put a prospective resident through a opportunity funnel, that's where you kind of put in where they're at on the funnel, and the system decides where they're at kind of with the percentage that assigns to it. So, as you fill in more information about, the tours that they've taken, any money that they've put down via deposit, any information they've given you, it kind of, pushes them up on the funnel and gets them closer to actually moving into the community. So this opportunity is going to automatically get generated every time. And we're going to leave the opportunity called Jordan Household just so it's got some similarities with the actual account name, so everything kind of flows nicely. You'll really never want to not create a new opportunity, so you'll never check that box really. The converted status is going to ask what the status, the lead status. It was set to working contacted, but it's always going to want to be closed converted because it's actually being converted from a lead to an account. So you really don't have to touch anything up here unless you're changing the owner. One other thing it's allowing us to do here automatically is create a task upon converting it from a lead to an account. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do that and take advantage of it since it's on this page. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's do a follow-up call with Michael next week. So I'll say, I'm going to do a follow-up call. It's not necessarily my first call, so I'm not going to choose first call because he actually called me when he was inquiring about this. So let's do a follow-up call, call to check on interest, right? So I'm going to say, call Michael, call Jordan next week to see if he has spoken with his mother yet. Okay. So I'm going to put that in. One important thing to put on here to distinguish is the due date. So this due date is when we actually want to set this up for. So by default, it's going to set up for today's date, but we're actually going to change it to when we want this task to show up on the calendar and on our task section. So I'm going to go ahead and say let's call them a week from today on February 2nd. So I'm going to choose February 2nd. As you'll see down here, it asks if we've got priority. You can set this to normal or high priority, so you can kind of decide for yourself if it's a normal or high. I'm going to leave this on normal for now. The status is set to open. I'm going to leave this to open. The only time you would change this to completed is if you actually did it already. If this is something that I'm scheduling for next week, I would never change this to completed because I haven't done it yet, obviously. The only time you want to change this to completed is if you're backdating tasks that you may have done, or if you're going in and doing things from a few days ago and closing them out. So what's cool here too is it'll send us a little reminder. So we've got through Salesforce, we've got email integration, so it'll send you an email reminder. So I can say what time I want this to remind me. If you don't want a reminder, you can uncheck that. But if you do, you can say when you want it for and the date and the actual time. So if I want to email reminder at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., excuse me, it might be a little late to call them after 9 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and say 9 a.m. And I want a reminder on February 2nd, that day at 9 a.m. to call him. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on Convert, and it's going to convert him from a lead to an account. One thing that you may run into when converting a lead to an account is you may get an error on the lead page stating that there was some sort of initial error with the conversion. Always be on the lookout for those errors. If you have an error, try to send a screenshot to Salesforcesupport at sigholding.com, and we can work you through it. It's usually something that, A, they may not have a zip code, so you'll want to go in and put a zip code. 99% of the time at this point, if you're at the point where you're converting them to an account, you will have a zip code. If you don't, shoot an email to Salesforce Support, and we can try to get some more information on it, or you can use your community zip code as a placeholder until you actually find it. Another reason you may not have the ability to convert them over and get an error would be because you don't have a phone number. You'll want a phone number on the account, obviously, so that you can get a hold of them somehow. And also, if you don't have an email address, we know sometimes you may not always get an email address. We want to get them as much as possible, obviously. But if you don't have an email address, make sure you check that box that says no email. So those are going to be your 3 golden rules prior to being able to convert a lead to an account, making sure you have all 3 of those things: a zip code, a phone number, and either an email or checking the no email if you don't have it. So you can see here now this Jordan household has been converted from a lead to an account. The way I can see that is now it's not highlighted on the leads tab anymore. We actually have the accounts tab highlighted, and you can see here it says accounts detail instead of lead detail. So we're all good. You can see this has been converted to an account. And now I keep saying the hub is kind of their account page, and this is our hub. This is where we're going to be doing all the information from the Jordan household. So you can see here up top, we have a list of all the contacts that are associated with this household. Right now it's just Michael. We're going to go through how to add more. You can see the open activities that we have something scheduled for February 2nd to call out, engage Michael's interest. We have an opportunity automatically assigned, like I was talking about a bit earlier. An opportunity automatically gets assigned. They're at 10% right now as we fill out and do more information in that section, and we, schedule out more things with Michael. That stage will go higher as they're ready to move in, hopefully. The activity history, you can see a list of that from here, and you can see any files that are attached to this record as well, which is nice because we can kind of go paperless and upload scanned files to this record. Kind of scrolling down the account detail, you'll see the account name again. You'll see the phone number associated, description, account owner, if there's any other information. The account summary, right now we're really not using this section, so what you can do with sections you don't want to see, you can click on the little arrow and it'll hide that section, so it'll make your screen a little more visible. You can see their address on here as well, which is pretty cool because it uses Google Maps, so you can actually click into this and see where they're at on a map, so it's pretty neat. So I'm going to scroll down. The system information is cool because it shows you who created it, so it shows me as Sean when I created it, when it was last modified, so if someone went in and actually did some modifications to here, we can keep track of that. It shows the login, who actually did it, when they did it, and exact time of when they did it as well. You can see the source that was assigned. The lead source was a place for mom. That is still on here. Custom links, we're really not using any custom links currently, but we have the ability to in the future. Scrolling down, you'll see the contact section. So the contacts are going to be just like the contacts we've always used. These are going to be the contacts for the household. So right now, Michael Jordan was put in as the son. What we would like to do is add his mother in as a new contact, obviously, because we want to add as many contacts for the record as possible, especially someone who is the prospective resident on here. So that's going to be a real important contact to add. So let's go ahead and add, just kind of going down the list, add Michael's mom as the contact, so we have her as a prospective resident. So I'm going to go ahead and click on New Contact here to add a new contact, because right now you can see that we only have the 2 contacts currently. Let's go ahead and click on New Contact, and you'll see we'll be taken to a new contact page. We've got our contact information where we can edit it. So we've got the first name section here. You can put in Mr., Mrs., we'll say Mrs. Jordan, and we're going to say her first name is Mary. We don't have a middle name, but we do have her last name of Jordan. So you can put in a suffix if you have one for someone, for a contact. The account name is going to say which account we want to tie this contact to. It's going to be easy when we're doing it from the contact in the household screen. That's kind of why I like to use the household as a hub, because it'll pre-fill some of this stuff, so we don't have to find what account we want to assign this contact to, because it's already from that account page. So we're just assigning Mary to her household, to the Jordan household. So we don't have to do anything here. So relationship role is going to be what their role is in the household. So this is going to be the actual prospective resident. So it's going to be right on top. If you're adding someone like her spouse, another son, daughter, you can add them as a contact, and you can distinguish what their role is to the actual household. So we're going to actually say that this is a prospective resident. So we're going to choose her. This was Michael's number. We're going to say we don't have any information for her yet because we've been talking to Michael so far. So you can see here, you can put it there, the POA, if they're veteran. If, unfortunately, the person becomes deceased, you can also come into the contact and update that information. You can see the address information on the bottom as well. So when you are all finished adding the contact info, you can go ahead and hit Save. There is also a Save and New button, so if you're adding a bunch of contacts at once, you have the ability to kind of just click on Save New, and it'll take you to the next page to add a new one. So you can see on here, we are on Mrs. Mary Jordan's contact page. So you can make any edits to it if you need to. You see all the opportunities and stuff at the bottom. But really, all we're going to do at this point is go back to the Jordan household. Like I keep kind of hitting on is you want to use the household as the hub, so everything kind of falls under that household. So I finished my contact. I'm going to go back to the Jordan household, and open that up and actually take a look again at the account page. So scrolling down, you'll see that now that I have 2 contacts updated. So instead of just Michael, I also have Mary Jordan, who is a prospective resident. So it's perfect. I have both my contacts in here, and I'm looking good so far. Okay. Right under contacts, you're going to notice the open activities. This is going to show me what open activities I have with this household. So you can see on February 2nd, I have an open activity to call and check on the interest with Michael Jordan. What I can do from here is I can click on Edit, and it'll open up that activity. I can make a change to it. So if I need to change this from the 2nd to the 3rd or something, I can do that. If I need to change my reminder time, I can do that. If I want to put in any notes or anything, I can do that as well. Otherwise, you can just click on back. Make sure you're hitting save anytime you're making any changes, obviously. So you can see my open contacts. If I wanted to make a new event, I can click on new event on here as well. So if I'm inviting them to lunch or something, I can put in a new event, make it time specific. If I wanted to put in a new task and email him, for instance, too, I could put in a new task. You want to make sure nothing is in open activities unless it's that day or a future date, because you shouldn't have anything in open activities that have happened already. So if this showed a due date of a couple days ago, you would want to come in and either edit this or finish it. So if you did it, you want to go in and complete it, and if you didn't do it, you'd want to go in and reschedule it. Under open activities, you'll see opportunities. The opportunities is going to be a big part of working an account. We're going to do this actually in a separate webinar, so look out for the opportunity section, but you can access it from the account page. So this is kind of where you access it on the account pages in the opportunity section. Again, we're going to do a separate webinar on that so we can get really in-depth on this. Activity history, here you can kind of keep track of what's happened already, what's been completed. You can see that this was done on 1/25. The task is checked off as completed. You can kind of see all that good information by clicking edit, and you can see any information that was entered in with prior activities. So this is going to be a list that's going to be growing, obviously, as you keep doing more activities and closing them out. The last thing you're going to see on here is the files. So you can upload files. So if you have information, their driver's license scan or something, anything you kind of keep track of on paper, you have the ability to upload and scan to their record, which is nice because it's green, it's more environmentally friendly, and it is probably safer than keeping paper trails of people actually physically in the community. So this is kind of an overview of the account page and the account section. If you're doing a search now for Michael Jordan, you can do a quick search up top, so if you're ever trying to get back to it later, you can see on here that you have a contact called Michael Jordan. Instead of clicking on the contact, though, I know I keep harping on this, but it's really important. I would advise always clicking on the household, clicking on the account, because what that does for you, we'll take a look and click on both just to kind of give you an idea. So if I clicked on Mr. Michael Jordan and I clicked on the account, take a look at how it differs. If you click on Mr. Michael Jordan, it takes you to their actual contact page, but you can't really do much from here because you can kind of just see the information about the contact. I want to be able to see everything. So that's why I always say click on the account page, because when you click on the account page, you see everything. This is our hub. This is where we see the information about the account. We see all the contacts associated. We see all the open activities. We see the opportunity, the activity history, and all that good stuff. So again, today's webinar was going over and converting a lead into an account and kind of working the account. If you have any questions, as always, shoot an email to Salesforcesupport at sigholding.com. I hope this kind of cleared some things up. Be on the lookout for our other webinars, too, that we have broken out. I think the next one is going to be on working the opportunity section on this account. If you had any questions on how we got to this point, you can check out converting a lead into an account, and I will get more in depth on actually creating events and tasks in a separate webinar, too, and kind of seeing how they show up on the home screen and how to close them out from the home screen from our events and tasks section. Thank you very much.